Hello? Oh my god, it is so cold here, you guys. It is 1 degree. I just looked, it's 1 degree, and it's like negative wind chill factor. It's so cold here, and I've lost my voice, and today was a good day. Hung out with Tanya for a while, and I filmed some videos, and I did a magazine video. I hadn't done one for a while, so that was fun. And, okay, so there's something very serious that we need to talk about. Lori, this goes out to you, Lori H. So, Lori left, I think it was a comment on my vlog from last night, so I know she watches my vlogs. I was laying in bed charging my phone. If my hair looks like shit, I don't really care. So, anyway, Lori said that the documentary Blackfish is all lies and whatever. So, I'm sorry, Lori, I didn't do my research, but I will. Tomorrow, like, that is my goal for tomorrow, is to get online and read whatever I can about Blackfish. I'm so, like, you know, it's interesting because I was kind of like talking about that in reference to all this stuff, but it's like I'm so like easily persuaded by stuff. But when people say to me, you know, like set me straight, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go find out the truth. Like I'm gonna go look. So I will read into Blackfish and find all that out. And I hope there's no truth to it at all. So, because the movie was devastating. Now, is The Cove real? Did y'all see that movie? That movie was sad too, about the dolphins. Is that real? I don't know what's real and what's not real anymore. Charlie Brown. I don't. But Lori, thank you for bringing that to my attention. People don't think I read the comments. I read every comment I get on my videos, like every single comment. So I don't know if, but I do, you guys. I read them all. So when you guys put something out there, it's funny, like, it's funny what makes me think of something, though, you know, like, and she, like, put 2 comments about it, and I was like, all right, girl, I'm gonna find out, okay? I hear you. I was wrong. I don't have a problem admitting when I'm wrong and remaining teachable. I think that's what life should be all about, you know, is remaining teachable. I talk about that all the time, so. But today was a good day. It is so, oh, now it's 2 degrees. My seat heater just, like, got really warm all of a sudden, so, I finally, like, trimmed those hairs around my beard, and it's like I have, like, one long one, and it's, like, goes right up my nostril. It's like I didn't get that one hair. These are, like, the real problems in life, right? So, Alex's best friend is visiting. I haven't talked a lot about this on here, and I feel like maybe I should, ask her permission before I talk about it, but she has the same, this is so weird, you guys, okay? She has the same disease that my mom had, and she's 32. My mom was 64 when she got diagnosed. And, so she has a form of vasculitis, and it's just really sad, and nobody can really find the proper treatment for it, and this is Alex's, like, lifelong friend, best friend. I mean, school, high school, college. They lived together in college, and her mom is, like, one of our dearest friends, and, you know, it really put my life in perspective today. I was like, you know, there's shit that happens to you, and then there's, like, shit that happens to you. Like, when she was sitting there talking to us about, you know, all of the things that she's going through and what's happening and stuff, I was like, there is, like, shit that happens that's manageable, no matter how horrible it is, okay? Like, let's just not even lie for 1 second and act like we don't know that I've been through some horrible shit lately, you know? And I posted this video today, and it was a magazine video, and I was really afraid that people were gonna be like, well, you bounced back from this pretty quickly. What's my option, you know? What is my option? To sit in it for life and just be like, oh, woe is me, woe is me. I'm not gonna do that. That's not who I am. That's not how I choose to live my life. You know, like, I lived in pity for a long time when I was using drugs and alcohol, but when I got sober, one of the things that I learned was that I have choices in how I respond to things. I can respond to things with compassion and understanding, or try to understand it. Some things are very confusing to me, but I don't have to be nasty. because that really says more about who I am in the world than it is about other people, you know? And so I said yesterday that I wanted to move on and I wanted to do other videos. And so today I got up and I was like, I'm doing a magazine video, you know? Like, Tanya and I were hanging out. I got the magazine and I was like, I'm doing a magazine video. And it was good. It was good for me. Like, I had a lot of fun doing it. And I was like, okay, I'm back. You know, like, I'm back to doing what I love to do. And that's life, you know? Like, you fall off the horse, you get up, and you get back on the fucking horse. You know? You pick up the pieces and you move on. But maybe you don't just get on the horse the same way. Maybe you go, okay, like, what did I learn from this falling off the horse business? You know? Like, maybe I shouldn't be riding my horse over in that shit pile. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's this stinking pile of manure over there that I shouldn't be riding my horse into, and then I won't fall off of it, if that makes sense. You know? Or, like, maybe I need to sit on it a little secure and be a little bit more confident with who I am. You know, maybe I wouldn't fall off if I felt that confident in the horse, you know, sitting on the horse. So, like, you have to kind of look at the situation when things happen to you. It's not just about remaining teachable. It's like saying to yourself, what have I learned from this situation, you know? And if there's anything that I want from my videos and in my life, it's that, and I say this all the time, you know, I say that, like, when I got sober, it's not like my life turned perfect. It didn't. Shit is gonna happen, okay? Horrible shit is going to happen, you know? I mean, people get so tired of me talking about this on here, and I don't give a fuck, because most of you out there have a parent, okay? I lost my mother, so I'll talk about it as much as I want. Now, I know most of you completely support me in talking about it, so thank you. But there's, you know, those 3 or 4 people out there that are always the negative Nancys. But, like, losing my mom, having my dog put to sleep, you know, Pee-Pee being sick. I didn't put him to sleep. My other dog. You know, like, losing my aunt last year. You know, my uncle being sick. Alex's best friend having this horrible disease that they can't find. There's 10 times worse shit in the world that I'm ever going to have to deal with. And so, and, you know, even with all of that, like, even with losing a mother, like, there's somebody out there that has it 100 times worse than I'll ever have it. They've lost everybody in their life, you know? And so, that's how I find gratitude in situations like this. Well, okay, so this happened, but it could have been so much worse, you know? Like, you could have no Tanya, you could have no Alex by your side, you know? My husband has been fantastic, you know? And, so I feel very blessed. And I was sitting there and I was talking to his friend today, and, you know, she was telling me about, like, all of the medical stuff, and I thought, God, isn't it sad that we have to learn valuable lessons through other people's pain? You know, like, I think that's a really sad thing in life, is that, like, that I find gratitude in my life because all of a sudden I'm not going through the same things she is, that my life seems so precious to me. You know what I mean? Like, and it always does, but I think I forget. You know, it's not like you remember it 24 hours a day, sitting up at the Dog and Suds eating a hot dog, which I haven't, but I wish I could because I'm a vegetarian. So, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't think about it all the time. You don't think about, like, how blessed we are just to have one more day to spend with the people that we love. Or, you know, we don't think about, I shouldn't say I don't think about it all the time. And I don't think it's realistic to think about it 24 hours a day. I just don't think that is realistic. But I think to have reminders throughout my day is important, you know? And I don't need somebody, a friend, who's going through something horrible to be my reminder. I need to remind myself of that and be able to be present to take care of my friend when they're going through something that's 10 times worse than I can ever imagine, you know? And the fear associated with that, and just hearing her say, like, I don't know that I'll ever, it scares me to go to sleep because I don't know if I'm going to wake up, you know, like, that's, I can't imagine, you know? And so it puts things in perspective, I think. And isn't that what life is all about anyway, is looking at things in perspective to other things and seeing the truth in those things, you know? And, like, you guys were all coming here for, like, a happy, joyous, ha-ha vlog today, weren't you? Well, I was gonna do that. I don't know that I have anything funny, haha. I'm just very, like, tonight, I'm just very, like, in my, you know, thinking about the world tonight. I don't know, I'm very peaceful tonight. It's beautiful outside, there's more snow, and it's cold, and even though I hate the snow, I'm, you know, I was, like, all cozied up in bed with the dogs and Alex, and I was laying there, and it was funny because, for some reason, I was thinking about when I got really sick over Christmas one year, like really sick. And, like I couldn't even get out of bed, like to unwrap presents. I was so sick. And my mom came in and she set up my Christmas tree for me. I had a little Christmas tree and she set it up in my room. And, I remember I was real weak, but we sat there and like we strung popcorn. You guys remember that? Stringing popcorn for the Christmas tree? And then like we made those ringlets, like with, you know, where you cut like green and red, and white. Well, yeah, I don't know if we did white, green and red, but crepe paper, not crepe paper, construction paper. And you make it like in rings, like that big. And then you like tape them and then you tape the next one through and tape the next. Do you guys remember that back in the day? And she strung them all around my room. And I think at the time I was probably about 5 or 6. And, you know, she came in there and she like read me stories every night. And we listened to my, you know, old time radio tapes, like Fibber McGee and Molly's Christmas. And we listened to the Christmas Carol on the radio version of it, the radio broadcasting of it. And she'd bring me hot chocolate and, you know, stuff like that. And my dog would sleep on the end of my bed right by my feet. And I remember I had these flannel sheets that year. Do you guys remember flannel sheets? Do people still use those? But anyway, I had flannel sheets and, they had little Santa Clauses all over them. They were like Christmas flannel sheets. And I had Christmas PJs. And I can remember I would just lay in bed and she would turn off the lights. And I could see right, I had like a window and the Christmas tree was right in front of it. And I would just lay there and look at the Christmas tree as the snow just like fell, you know. And we lived like, my house was like built in the woods. And, so it looked out over like a creek in the woods and stuff. In Indiana, we call it a creek. Y'all call it a creek. You call it a river. It was a creek. It wasn't a river. It was a creek. Anyway, and it would ice and over, and we would walk on it in the wintertime and stuff. It was fun. And it like wove all through the woods where I lived. And so anyway, I can just remember laying there like late at night. And then I have this thing on my Christmas tree, and it was like, do you guys, I don't know if you'll remember this, but it was one of those things where like the lights would play to like music, but it was like belled music. So it'd be like, oh, come all ye faithful, dun, dun, dun. I don't know the words, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, and so I can remember just laying there and feeling so sick. And like, but like it was so warm in the room and just, I felt so cozy and stuff. And like when you have a bunk bed, and of course I had 10 million stuffed animals, so I felt like I was in like this little like safe cave, you know. My dog's asleep at the end of the bed with me, and it's funny, I remember that, you know. I was thinking about that tonight as I was like charging my phone, and I was just like laying there, and all the dogs were like laying up around me, and PP kept on coming up on me and being like, come on dad, come on dad. He wanted to play. PP is like so like, he's lethargic during the, this is weird, he's lethargic during the day. He's such a night owl like I am. But like at night, he like wants to play. I only laid there with him for a little bit because Alex wanted, because he has to get up early, he wanted Boo and Tucker to sleep in their house tonight. Because sometimes like if we have all 3 of the dogs in bed, they like, well, Boo just sleeps. Boo just gets in his, I call it a circle. He just gets in a really tight circle right next to me. Like, usually he'll, like, circle up against my back because I sleep on my side. And then he'll, like, lay right next to me, like, real hard. But Tucker and PP play all night long. They jump up, they jump down. They jump up, they jump down. They get toys, they get toys. They run around the room. They play all night long. And Alex is like, I have to be, he has a meeting in the morning. And he was like, I have to be up so early in the morning. Thinking in my head, like, do I want to say this or not? I heard tell that somebody thinks that like I don't make any money and that like I spend all of Alex's money going to the casino. Oh my god, if you guys had any clue. I think I've talked about my finances on here enough that people should really know how that all works between us, but I'm not going to get into it because it's quite frankly none of those people's business. But that's not the case, and I can tell you that my husband, although he doesn't care if I go to the casino, would never give me his money to go to the casino, ever, period, end of story. So, you know, If I said to Alex, can I have $100 or $200 to go to the casino? He'd be like, you have your own money to go to the casino. You can go take your own money. I feel like I just talked about this on here the other day. Didn't I just talk about this on here? About like how you do finances and that I had an ex and he took all the money out of the savings account. Yes, I just talked about this on here the other day. Didn't I just talk about this on here the other day? And that when Alex and I got together, we decided how we were going to do our finances, and we were like, and it's worked. Like, it's never, like, I have known so many married couples that have so many issues. They fight over money, right? We don't ever fight about money. We've never really fought about money, you know? And our counselor even suggested, he's like, because I said, we don't really ever talk about money. He's like, well, I would suggest that maybe you do, but you don't think you do. And I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, no, we really don't. Like, we just don't. Like, you know, we pay the bills together, and then whatever else is ours, you know? Like, that's kind of how it is, and it works really well for us, and it always has. People want to say stuff about my relationship. It cracks me up. I'm like, are you so miserable in life that you cannot see a happy couple that has been together 10 years, that you want to like try and dissect that relationship apart a million ways? I mean, seriously? It just cracks my shit up. Like, of all the things that people say, I'm just like, that is the one. I'm like, you know, if you really were a believer, like in being a good person, like if you really were, then you would say it is phenomenal that a gay couple has been together 9.5 years, are still together, that they have had minimal problems, and they've been legally married for 5 or 6 years, which a lot of heterosexual couples, how many years have we been married now? 11 to 17, so 6 years going on 7. A lot of heterosexual couples can't even say that, you know? And that we've been together 9.5 years. Wow, that's a pretty cool couple. You know, they're pretty good role models for the LGBT community as far as a couple. So when you are dissecting that or passing judgment on that, it's not an opinion. What it is hatred on the LGBT community. So I just want I want to make that very, very clear to those people out there. But I don't really give a rat's ass about your opinion anyway, because you're ignorant. So that's what I think about that. One thing I've learned by going through all this stuff the last couple days is that, you know, like I talked about this on my channel, Peterisms. It's like I forget this thing sometimes, you know. It's like the whole Oprah thing when she was talking about like Stedman, you know, and that like all of these tabloids were talking about her and Stedman, and she went to Maya Angelou and she said, and like you guys can search this out there, and I think it's, if you search it, it's called like You're Not In That is what it's called. I think if you put Oprah and You're Not In That, you'll find it. So I'll stop in a second and search this video. But anyway, you know, Maya said to her, or she said, you know, Maya, like, I don't know what to do. Like, people are talking about me and Stedman, and it's really hurting me because it's like they're lies, and, you know, I just don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to say. They're complete lies, right? And Maya looked at her and she said, but see, you're not in that. And Oprah said, no, what do you mean I'm not in that? Like, they're talking about me. They're talking about me. Like, she goes, but there's no truth to what they're saying. You know, don't defend it. There's no truth to what they're saying. You're not in that. That is about them. That is their agenda. That's like, she doesn't use the word agenda, I don't think, but like, that's what that's about them. It says more about them than it says about you. You're not in that. That's about them. And Oprah said, like, it took her a while and she didn't really understand it, right? And then she, like, one day she was like, I'm not in that. Like, it has nothing to do with me, really. You know what I mean? Like, my response has to do with me, but, like, I'm not in that. Like, I'm not in it at all. Like, that's that tabloid writer's fantasy world that they're living in to conjure up these lies. I'm not in that. Like, it has nothing to do with me, really. And I was thinking about that the last couple days, and I was like, you know, it's those small pieces of life, you know, combined with the preciousness of life that I find from Alex's friend, or looking at like my dog's paw prints in the snow and realizing that it's the small things in life that really matter. It's those kinds of things combined together, you know, in this, I would say, this Christmas porridge, so to speak, you know, that like I find that I can get through anything with all of that combined together. It's not any one piece. It's all of it together, you know, where I can find this greater appreciation for what life is really all about and go, okay, but what if, Peter, Because you're a believer that things happen in life for reasons. So what if you are right now going through what you're going through? Or when your mother died, what if you were going through that? Or what if, when you broke up with your ex, what if when you were going through that? Or, like when you didn't know what your next move in life was going to be, career-wise? What if in those moments, okay? Or the day I got diagnosed with epilepsy, because that was terrifying to me. I thought I can't live. What am I going to do, Or the day that I got sober. What if there's a greater lesson to be learned in that? Like, what is it you do with that? It's not about what has happened. It's about what you do with it. Do you guys remember those posters that we used to have back in school? And it would say something about like, what did it say? Like, life is 10% of what life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we respond. Do you guys remember those like things or something? I can't remember but something like that, And it's true. It's like what we do with what happens to us is what's important, not what happens to us. We're like, very rarely are any of us in what happens to us. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it. Like, if you think about like the losing of the job if you're laid off, right? Well, that's not most times personal. Lots of companies lay off tons of people. It's horrible, People being out on jobs at Christmas time and whatever. And I have a close family member of mine that like 2 years ago is like huge in a corporation, and they just were devastated at Christmas time because literally like on the 22nd, they were told that they had to find, like, it was something ridiculous, like 500 employees that they had to let go with a severance package of a month on the 23rd. I mean, how do you do that to somebody 2 days before Christmas? But that's what they were told they had to do, And then I think about those families that like have no money at Christmas time, no job, My life could be so much worse. And, you think about that and then you think, well, they're not really in that, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not in the layoff. The layoff's not really about them. It's affecting them. It happens to them. But now what are you going to do with it? Are you going to look at this as an opportunity to change? Well, maybe you needed to get out of there and go to a different place anyway. Maybe you can find something that you really love doing. Maybe this will make you and your family come closer and realize how important family is. And, I think it's hard to look at things that way because we want to say, oh, you don't understand. You don't know what I've gone through. Like, listen, if it happened to you, and I've had moments in my life, even recently, where I would love to look at somebody when they have an opinion about something and say, if it were you, let me tell you, okay, you'd be thinking differently about that. But the reality is, it's not, it's me. And I have to look at that and I have to say, okay, Peter, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to choose to continue to live a right life and be a compassionate human being and try to live with forgiveness and love in your heart and learn from this? Like, what is there to learn, Well, I've been pushed in a corner a lot of my life, I'm not willing to do that anymore. I'm not willing to be pushed down in a corner. And, there's a lot about, like, this is something that I've really learned in the last 24 hours, just the last 24 hours, that there is talk, so to speak, and then there's action, like, I'm trying to say this in an analogy because of what I'm allowed to say. There are some things that just aren't gossip and drama. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just not, and they need to be handled in the correct way. Okay? They need to be handled in the correct way. They don't need to be handled with rampant opinions going around and gossip and more, like putting out videos and all this kind of stuff. They need to be handled in the appropriate manner, okay? And that's just how they need to be handled. I can't say really any more than that, but if you know what I'm saying. Like, I've learned that, and I've learned, okay, you stand up for yourself and you live life with a compassionate heart, and what you say is, but I'm not in that. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm just, you handed me lemons, I'm making lemonade out of it. I don't know really what to tell you, like, I can't, like, I'm not willing to allow this in my life. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not willing to allow this. And, but then there's a point when you have to go, okay, so, like, you all take care of this, and I'm going to go on with my life, and call me when you need me, and I will, while y'all are doing what you need to do, and I'm going to go on with my life, and that's your job, and I've got my job, and you've got your job, and Sue and Judy, they got their jobs, and they're in the kitchen cooking, and so anyway, y'all are probably like, what are you talking about? I can't say, I just can't, so anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm in such a great mood today. I feel so peaceful. I feel so serene. And I don't know where it came from today. I just woke up that way. And really, I was thinking a lot about my mom, you know? And I was thinking about, look at that light back there. It's weird, isn't it? It's like fire. Do you see that right there? Fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Oh, the Doors. Do you guys like the Doors? I never talk about them on my channel. I love the Doors so much, so. I was going to tell you what that video was, and I didn't look it up. I can't believe that it's almost at 30 minutes so far, and that my camera's not getting hot. But, you know, I was thinking a lot about how my mom would handle this whole situation. You know, I was thinking about her today a lot, like what she would have said to me through it. And I think she would have said to me, well, first I think she would have said, this makes me really sad for you, Peter. You know, like, I don't really know what to say. I think she wouldn't have understood it, first of all. Any of it. I mean, she wouldn't have understood the videos. It would have been so confusing to her. My mother wasn't a stupid person. She was very smart, but like the technology, the social media, all of it would have been very confusing to her. You know, my cousin was joking, Caroline was joking on Thanksgiving, and she's like, I'm so glad like that your mom is not around for Facebook. Like, my mom would have wanted to be on Facebook so bad, but would not have understood it whatsoever. You know that commercial where that woman's like joking about like, this is my wall, and she's like taping stuff to the wall? That like so would have been my mom. I mean, seriously. But like, I think after she got like I was just sharing this in my my Peterisms channel the other day, where I said that my mom and I, when my ex and I broke up, or no, when I went to her and I said, you know, things are not good between us. And she said, oh, don't tell me that. And I said, no, things are not good and I don't know what to do. And she said, you know, Peter, she said, weeds grow fast in a garden. And before you know it, it's taken over the garden and you no longer see the beautiful things because the weeds have taken over. And she was right. You know, it's like once you start picking each other apart in a relationship, you're done. Like, it's over, you know, like, and so I think what my mom would have said with this whole situation is, I think she would say, I know you're angry. I know you're hurt. I know you're sad. But you have a design for living with your recovery today. You have a way to deal with these things. And, you know in your heart of hearts what's true and what's not true. And you don't owe anybody an explanation. And I think she would say, and you need to hold your head up high when you walk down the street and refuse to be a victim of their oppression. Because that was a saying that she said to me all of my life. And it was a Betty Shabazz quote from Malcolm X's wife, Betty Shabazz. When asked, what do you do when you walk down the street and somebody calls you a derogatory name? She said, I hold my head up high because I refuse to be a victim of their oppression. And that is what I have chosen to do, because I think that is what my mother would teach me. And she would say, you don't bow your head to nobody. I didn't teach you that way, okay? You're a proud person. You're a man of character. You know who you are. You don't bow your head to anybody, and you don't explain anything. It's none of their fucking business. I think that's what she would have said to me, first of all. Now, I don't know that I necessarily agree with all of that. I do think that I'm a proud man. I do think that I'm a person of character. I do understand that people have questions about things, you know? So, it's whatever. I think my mother would have also said to me, well, I wanted to put Tanya on video tonight because people keep on asking me what Tanya thinks about this. Tanya knows a little bit more about the whole YouTube game than people think. Her response to this was, first of all, she said, are you okay? I mean, she's just really been checking in with me left and right. And then she said to me, we went to Meijer and went shopping tonight, and after we like hung out all day long and did a pedicure and stuff like that. And she said, I think her exact quote was something to the effect of, what is this motherfucker's issue with you? Like, and she kind of laughed, and she's like, why is he gunning so hard for you? Like, she's like, he like really is into you. Like, he's kind of obsessed with you. She's like, this has been going on for a year and a half. She's like, you didn't even talk about him. She's like, you could care less about him for a whole year. She's like, and now all of a sudden he's like, comes up with all this stuff at a very convenient time, don't you think? Like, I said, that's exactly what I think, you know? I said, what do you think about all of it? And she said, I think you'll survive. You're a survivor, and I know you. And she said, you've been through 10 times worse shit in your life. She said, you've been through 10 times worse shit than you've ever talked about in a video, and people don't even know about it, you know? People don't really know what I went through with an ex of mine. It was a really horrific relationship. And just cut off. Oh my God, I was at 30 minutes. But I was in a really horrific relationship. And I out of fairness to this person, because I believe they've changed today. And they have taken a lot of responsibility in talking to me through it. I have forgiven them. I have moved on. But you know, like this activity that I used to do, that my supervisor used to do actually with these outreach girls, was that when they would call each other names, right? She would take this wood, and she would have these girls like take a nail and hammer it into the wood. And then she would say, every time you hammer that nail in, say one of the names. And so they would hammer it, and they would say these horrible names that they would call each other. Y'all know the names. I'm not going to say them. And then she would take the nail out, and she'd say, okay, now fill in the hole. And the girl would look at her and say, I can't fill in the hole. What are you talking about? She'd say, now fill in the hole. You know? And she'd say, make the wood whole again. And the girls would say, I mean, you can't. Like, the nail hole is in there. And my supervisor would look at them and say, that's exactly what you do when you say these things about people. That the wood may be better. It may change. It may become something that even more than it was before. 10 times more beautiful, 10 times better. But the hole will exist. You can't take away what you've done. And I think it's a really valuable lesson in life, you know? Whether it's horrible situations happening to us, grieving people that have passed away, horrible relationships like one that I was in that was seriously detrimental, you know, on and on and on, you know, being bullied in school, being bullied in the workplace. I mean, I have worked through the years with so many adult women that were really harshly bullied by close friends. If you guys ever had groups of 3 or 4 women, it tends to happen a lot with women. 3 or 4 women where there's one that's always like, kind of like, oh, like, and it can be over like hairstyles and stuff. It's really harsh shit that happens. You can't take that stuff away. Like, the wounds are there, you know, the battle scars are there. So my message to you is this, okay? Like, in talking about that, like, seriously, like, I want to talk about it because I think this is the important piece, is it's not about the hole, okay? It's how do we take that piece of wood with this shitty empty hole in it that will never be the way that the wood was before? How do we turn it into something more beautiful? Do we ignore the hole, or do we embrace the hole? You know, and I think those are the questions you have to ask yourself. How do I take this situation and make it into something 10 times more beautiful than it was before? And I choose to preach love and positivity, compassion and forgiveness. I really do, okay? Now, I will say enough is enough already. And I think that I wouldn't say that I don't think that people deserve to have a voice. I would say that I think some people's voices need to be duct taped shut, okay? Because they don't know how to speak in public appropriately, you know? It's like my mother back in the day when, you know, like, my mother was very weird about manners, like, especially at dinner tables, like when we would go to people's houses, and I would say, like, I wouldn't just grab for food, you know? I would say, you know, Mrs. Smith, may I please have another, you know, dinner roll? Well, yes, Peter, you can. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. You know, and if I said, can I have another dinner roll? My mother would have looked at me and she would have said, what do we say? And I think there are some people out there that need to have their people look at them and say, what do we say? And if they don't get it the first time, and they don't get it the second time, and they don't get it the third time, then I don't think they should have any more fucking dinner rolls. That's how I feel about it. So I think that we need to get the dinner rolls off the table and be done with the dinner rolls, so to speak. But that doesn't take away the hole in the wood. This is like the night of analogies, isn't it? The night of 1,000 analogies. But, you know, it doesn't take away, like, what do we do with the wood? And so I think, like, that's life, you know, like, really ugly shit is going to happen in life. It just is, period. You know, like, nobody is going to be born, live, and die and not have any ugly shit. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much poverty you have. I don't care how blessed you are to be the most talented, beautiful, whatever person in the world, or how you have all of these, you know, things that are working against you. Everybody is going to have a ton of shit in their life that's going to be horrible, period. It's the human existence, okay? What do we do with it? That's the question, you know? And, like, I think, like, with my mom, it was really hard for years and years and years because she got very stuck on the question, like, you know, my dad would say, your mom and I had this very passionate love affair, right? But then, like, it got so aggressive and passionate. Not like, it never got physically aggressive between them, but, like, they just were so, like, I mean, my mother was, like, this diehard liberal Democrat, you know? She was friends with, like, Abby Hoffman in the Chicago 7, and she was wanting to, like, you know, go out and riot, you know, in the streets of Chicago, and she did. And she, you know, marched in Selma, Alabama, and she was a civil rights activist. I mean, this was my mother, okay? And then you have my dad over here that's completely liberal on issues. I mean, any issue in the world, he is so liberal and, like, very left about. But as far as, like, economy and, like, healthcare and things like that, he's very conservative. And so you have these two people, and it just didn't work. And that's what my dad said. He was like, it was very much like the movie The Way We Were. We just didn't work, you know? And, for years and years and years, my mom would say, like, I mean, even, like, my dad and my stepmom have been married for, like, 20 years, and my mom, or 10 years, or 15 years. I don't know how long they were married when my mom passed away. I said they were married 30 years yesterday, so 20 years they would have been married. And my mom would say, I don't understand why. I don't understand why, you know, it didn't work between us. And she was so consumed with that. And I said, did you ever say, what do I do now? Like, you never, like, take it and go to the next. I mean, the question isn't why. Like, I don't know that I think we really ever know why about a lot of things. And I don't know that I think the answer to the question why is really that important. I really don't. So what? You know, does the ends justify the means? You know, if I knew why certain things happened, would that make them right? Would that make it better? Would it make it better for me to understand? I don't know. Would I believe it? I don't know. You know, if I understood why my mom got sick with this disease that was incurable, you know, if I understood why I had this, you know, was in this relationship that was toxic, that I was treated the way that I was, would that make it? I don't know that would take away the pain. I don't know that would take away the opportunity to change. I don't know that would take away the opportunity to become a better person through it. And I look at everything in life as a learning experience, and I look at everything in life as a teaching experience. And what can I do at this, you know, major moment that's happened to me to move forward? And I think it's a valuable lesson for all of us, you know. And I sat in my living room tonight and I talked to Alex's best friend, and I was thinking back, you know, like, on all of the things that have happened in, like, the last 5 years of my life. You know, a lot of crazy shit's happened long before I was ever on YouTube, you know. And I thought, none of it is anything in compared to this, you know. Like, this is life. We're talking about life. And I'm not trying to minimize anything that's happened in the last couple days, because it's severe. It is severe, and it will be dealt with. It is being dealt with. But it's important that I always remember that there are people that have it so much worse than I do. And what can I do to make their existence better? What can I do to make their lives better, if anything? I can't tell you the amount of love and support that I've received this week alone. And, you know, it's interesting, like I said this in one of my videos earlier, but I got a lot of messages and a lot of tweets from people that would say, like, oh, I'm not anybody important, meaning, like, I'm not a famous YouTuber, I'm not a famous, you know, whatever. And it's like, but you don't know that it came, like, at a moment that I was like, that first day, you know, like, there were moments where I was like, I don't know if I can go on, you know? And I would get on Twitter and I would see a message from somebody and they would say, you know, I never comment on your videos. I'm a silent commenter, but I just had to tell you how much I love you. And it would, like, I'd be like, That's at least one person out there, you know? And I've always said, if there's just one person out there, there's somebody to make videos for. If there's just one person out there that thinks, you know, hey, he's okay, you know? And then I'd like have a couple good hours with my family, and then like I get on there and I get an, you know, a direct message from somebody, and they would say, I know I'm not that important, but I just want you to know I love you and I support you, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. And I would read it, and it would get me through the next couple hours. And that's what I needed those first 24 hours, because it was dark, you know? It's some fucking dark shit. It seriously is. I mean, I don't even get it, you know? Like, I really don't get it. But I'm not there today, you know? And I'm not there today because of all the love and support that I received from all of those people out there that think that they're nobodies, that are everybody to me, because they don't even know that they got me through an hour, you know? So thank you. Like, you guys have no idea, like, the messages. I mean, it's not bullshit when I say that in my videos. And, if anything, what it's done for me is, it's just really made me feel really I just finished reading the book Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie or not. I talked about this on here a couple weeks ago. But everybody had to come up with these mottos in his class. It's about this kid that has this facial deformity, and everybody makes fun of him. And then he becomes like the most amazing, I mean, he is the most amazing kid, but like people recognize it, right? They all have to come up with these quotes for this class, and his quote is that everybody in life deserves one standing ovation. And if I never get noticed again, if nobody ever knows who I am, if I never make a video that makes anybody laugh, I felt real special, you know, for 2 days. And it was nice, you know? It's nice to be liked. And I think people deserve that. I think everybody deserves that. And I'm not crying. Guys, I keep on like starting my camera and then it like shuts off because I have the heat at 85 because it's so cold outside that I have to. So anyway, all I just wanted to say was I just wanted to say thank you to all of you guys out there for watching and being supportive. You've made me feel very special. And it's, you know, it's blessings in disguise, I guess, you know? I don't know what else to say. I'm thinking about that book Wonder. It's funny, like once I start talking about books, I start thinking about it. And I really wanted to see that movie this week. But then I was like, we were going to go to the movies, and I was on Christmas, and I was like, it's going to be packed on Christmas. And Alex is like, yeah, it'll be packed. And then I was like, what time is it? And then I was like, well, maybe we can just go next week sometime. And he was like, yeah, that probably would be better. And I was like, oh, excuse me, okay, we'll go next week sometime. Make it a date night. So, but I heard it's fantastic. Have you guys seen it? Wonder? I want to see it so bad. So anyway, but I was like thinking about that book, and I'm still reading this stupid Catherine Anderson book. Like I cannot finish it. Oh, I kept on saying I was gonna like pull over and try to find this Oprah video. I hope my camera doesn't shut off again before I'm like in this residential area right now. So, I've also had really bad migraines today, which is interesting because like it's not raining and it hasn't snowed really a whole lot today, and usually they come with precipitation. It's like the kind of migraines that I have, I know people never believe me when I tell them this, but this is what my neurologist told me. Barometric pressure has a lot to do with my migraines, and apparently it's like the pressure inside of my, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't need to know. I'll never forget. I bought all these books on migraine disorder, and this was before the internet, okay? I got diagnosed with epilepsy before like the internet was a thing, just so you know. I mean, not really. I mean, it was out there, but it wasn't like we didn't have Google. I don't think we had Google. So anyway, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. Okay, so if I got sober at 23, if I got sober at 22, I got diagnosed at 27. So that would have been 1998 was when I got diagnosed. Did we have Google in 1998? I don't know. Somebody find that out for me. But it doesn't matter. I went and I bought all these books on epilepsy and I have juvenile myoclonic epilepsy and seizure disorder, which then I also have migraine disorder. Scratch. Juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, which just means I had petite mal seizures. I also had one grand mal seizure, which is how they found out that I had epilepsy. But then I also have migraine disorder. The kind of migraine disorder that I have is like it's onset by pressure in my head, and it's like it just is ongoing. So it's not like you get like spurts of it, or like I can't take like Imitrex, like that won't work for me, where you take a pill and then it go because I have them so constantly, like if that makes any sense. But anyway, I just got really hungry for a peanut butter sandwich, and I know that is completely random, but that is my truth. So anyway, I don't know what it was about peanut butter that I just started thinking about. I'm pulling into this Kroger so that I can look up this Oprah video that nobody will probably go watch. I should link it below, but I say that and then I'll forget. So anyway, when I went into the doctor, I had all these books on epilepsy, and then I also had all these books on migraine. I think I bought like 3 and 3. So I had like 6 books total. And I was sitting there and I was like asking him all these questions. I was like, and it says this, and it says that, and it says this. And he went, just take the medication the way that I tell you to take it. You will probably never have another seizure as long as you live. He was like, I'm going to tell you to take naproxen, which is Aleve, for your migraines. And he's like, I'm just going to tell you right now that you're probably going to have to live with migraines for the rest of your life. He was like, we can try Midrin, we can try Imitrex, but they're not going to work real well. We tried both of them. They didn't. And he's like, and you just need to listen to me as your doctor. He's been my doctor ever since then. I've taken the medication. I've taken 1,500 milligrams of Depakote every day, and I've never had another seizure. So that means that a lot of times you should, if you trust your doctor, listen to him. I'm not saying that doctors have the answers to everything, but saying that if you get a doctor that you really trust, you should probably listen to them. And if you get a doctor that you don't necessarily trust, you should get a second opinion. And I think you should always probably get a second opinion. Okay. Oprah, I'm not in. Oprah, Maya, you're not. I'm not going to be able to find this. I just know. Now that I'm sitting here saying I'm looking for it. Oh my God, I'm putting all kinds of stickers and shit up in the search. You're not in that. Okay, let's see if it pulls up anything. I don't think I can show it on here, can I? I will copyright it, won't it?
This is gonna be so good. Of all, I think I know the lesson, and then I'll walk into a situation and think that's that same lesson, and that is when people show you who they are, believe them.
Yes, absolutely. A person says to you, I'm selfish, or I'm mean, or I am unkind,
Or I'm crazy.
or believe them. They know themselves much better than you do. But no, more often than not,
Who do I got on my side? Oprah and Maya? I mean, come on now. Hold on, this is a thing.
Talking about some bad relationship or relationship gone bad because of my own choices, and she was saying to me, why are you blaming the other person? He showed you who he was.
That was about if somebody shows you who they are, believe them, they know themselves much better than you. But that was not the one that I wanted to show. Was this it? Hold on.
One of the most important lessons I ever learned from you, and I still am.
Ugh. That's the same lesson, Oprah. We need a different lesson.
Friend's sister-daughter.
Because this is it.
Some of the mistakes I made in my. When you know better, you do better.
When you know better, you do better.
Great lessons of my life.
Okay, so if you guys want to know, like Oprah has, if you Google also, I was talking about this last night, if you Google Oprah, like, aha moments, go in there and you'll find like all of them. Or Oprah, this is her, the powerful lesson Maya Angelou taught Oprah's life class. If you go up there and you look at Maya, like if you put Oprah and Maya Angelou into YouTube, you'll find all kinds of things. 5 of Oprah's most moving aha moments, the Oprah Winfrey Show. That one's super powerful and I love it. So anyway, these are just great. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Go watch some of those videos. They're super inspiring, and that's how I find strength in life sometimes, is to look at people that inspire me and to motivate me, and that's all I want. Like, I just would hope to do that for other people, that through the things that I go through in life, through my trials and tribulations, through my joys, through all of it, that I hope that maybe I can inspire one of you guys out there. Just one, you know? If more than that, that's great too, but I hope just at least one. So, and I'm going to tell you what I do. If for some reason I upload this part of it and it won't let me monetize it, then I'm going to have to like re-upload this part. So I'm going to like this will have 2 alternative endings. So I'm going to stop this and then we'll have an alternative ending. But if not, I love you guys and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.